Hey MGTOWs, this is Vention. It's 2:30 in the morning on the 26th now. And as a swing shift worker, I kind of, I, this is sort of my normal going to bed time. uh, but it's not a bad shift. But I wanted to cover three things before I crash. Um, the first one is about angry MGTOW, and the second one is about uh, Michael Moore and Donald Trump, which is bizarre. Moore as a leftist, right? I mean, you can't get much more left than that. Anyway, and the third one is the possible change in the Bitcoin price if Donald Trump gets elected, because, well, a number of things might cause the Bitcoin price to do some funny stuff and pretty awesome stuff too. Um, so let's go ahead and start with Angry MGTOW. Um, I made a video about a year or two ago. It's starting to get a while ago, um, about um, about anger. It's basically when I was a new MGTOW, I would I was not in a good place. I mean, I was not. I was I was unhappy and sort of grieving uh, because all the plans I had made. I fully intended to do the whole marriage thing and whatnot, but man, let me tell you, those women. Women. When they're in their fertile family building years, they can be just, I mean, they are typically just tremendously arrogant. And the 80-20 rule, the 80% of them are shooting for the top 20%. And I was a guy who was not a bad boy. I was not dangerous looking, and I was not exciting. I was a regular working class guy working a normal job, a guy who looked relatively. Um, and man, the women that I could attract were, man, it was really not good. they were like, they were not that good. and and every time I would date, this was before I went MGTOW, I mean, they brought just enormously less to the table than I did, right? Looks, money, status. They were all like many rungs below me, and I'm thinking, man, is this all I deserve? Is this the best I can do? And then of course I got bad roadmaps from my family and from friends and women. They would say, "Oh, just be yourself, blah blah blah. You'll find the right one, nah nah nah," and and it was just a ridiculously wrong roadmap toward dating and all that. But now, but then when I had enough evidence to really finally get a handle on how bad a deal the whole male female relationship between like men and women, how men are just not valued anywhere near what we should be valued at, as far as like just the fact that we're men uh, means that you can only get a woman who's like maybe half as attractive as you are. um, and it's like uh, a dollar's worth of man will only buy you 50 cents worth of woman, right? And it was just wrong. I mean, it was just, my whole freaking biology just rebelled, right? And then one of my best friends got and then I saw multiple mechanics of my friends of mine at work just totally railroaded by their wives. And once I was even helping a guy move, a guy named Ken, and and I was you know, because he had only a short time to move his shit out of his own fucking house. And I was grabbing a line of shoes, and he said, "No, those belong to the new guy." God. Well, anyway, see, anger, right? And then one of my best friends in my D&D group, uh, his no sex for 2 years wife just went batshit insane when he cheated on her. I mean, and and then she filed that horrible false accusation, and the cops came and dragged him off to jail. And then 4 hours later, when she cooled down, she recanted. You know, she actually told the cops that she made a false accusation. That should, in a normal world, be enough to have them bring the guy back, put him in the house, grab the woman, haul her off to jail, right? No, she got no penalty at all. But you know, that was like, man, 17 years ago or something. It was a long time ago. No, man, it must have been more like 20 years ago, because that was before I went MGTOW. And I went MGTOW in 1997. That's 19 years ago. Man, time sure flies when you get some of these gray hairs in your beard. Well, anyway, and then I went on this odyssey of like asking older mechanics about their marriages and divorces, and I thought, and I was like processing it and reading what I could about it. The internet was really new by then. There was a little on there though, and I finally, after the end of like maybe 3 months, maybe 4, I finally got to the point where I knew that I just couldn't do it. It came to a head it was dark in my living room in my old apartment, and I was sort of pacing and complaining out loud to nobody. and then that was the point where it just crystallized, and I sat on the living room floor, and I realized I just couldn't do it. I had to let it go. So then I was like missionless. I was without a mission in life, no plans. Everything that I planned for was gone, right? So I was almost in a process of grieving, right? And it was like I had lost a loved one or something, you know, lost the life that I thought I was going to live, and I was in mourning. and then that's when I sort of discovered anger. You see, when you're feeling like really despairing, and really when you get that cold, frozen emotion type thing, and you become weak and listless with the grief, the lack of the mission, you know, the lack of a purpose, you know. And that's when I discovered that you could just shoot a little bit of anger into your system, and sort of fuel instead of joy, you know, and instead of purpose, and instead of like a mission, and instead of like you know, planning for good things, and building, and instead of enthusiasm, you know, and I didn't have any of that, and then I discovered anger. And I found that I could just shoot a little bit of anger into my system, and then I would just and then basically when I had enough of that freaking anger, then I suddenly had enough energy to go through my life. and you can use too much, you know, you can push it too hard. And when it does, it can start to really bother you. It can start hurting you as much as anything else, you know. It's a hate and anger is a dangerous fuel. I mean, it's a strong mixture, but it is dangerous. It can hurt you too. So that's what I wanted to talk about with Angry MGTOW. He might be using a little bit too much, but that's not for me to say. But I'm starting to grow a little bit concerned about him. But man, he sure sounds like me. Me about 19 years ago, right? So then when I had enough of that anger, and then I was able to go through my life, and then build and start building a better life. And after about like 6-7 months, I began assembling a plan out of the wreckage for what kind of life I would have, right? And then I bought my condo, right? And then I moved into the condo, and I was a really heavy D&D gamer back then, and that's a lot of fun. And I had like 7 or 8 geeks helping me move. Individually, they're not very strong, but together they moved my apartment over to the condo really quick. I bought a condo right across from my old apartment, and it was like just zip right there. but I digress. But then I was like building my life, and it was getting better, and I was doing well in work, and I was studying. Even as I study now, I actually study a little bit at home for my job as a mechanic at work, to the point where I can appear to be better than I maybe actually am, because I educate myself on things like the wiring and all the computers in the truck and all the computers that talk to all the other computers, and that and engine work, mostly Cummins. That's my big thing, and I've studied the shit out of those things, right? I aim for the complex stuff because I am not a fast mechanic. I mean, there are mechanics who can just work like 150% faster than me. Somehow their mind just goes click, 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 and they're going doom, boom, doom, 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 just going one thing right after another, and maybe they're planning 5 steps ahead, and I have a hard time with that. I mean, I have to stop, work on my whatever it is, then I can plan for the next thing, and I can go to the next thing, and I can do it well enough, but I am not fast. And that's why I work hard on studying and learning my field, so that I can basically be prepared. It takes a little bit of homework in order for me to get my special niche at work and maintain it, and then I'm able to pull my weight there. So, and then time went on, and my life improved, and after a while, a couple years into the condo when I was there, and finally I kind of realized I really didn't, the hate just, I wasn't needing it anymore, because I had built enough of a good life for myself that I just didn't need the anger the way I mean, periodically, when I hear about some cunt doing something, I say, oh, fucking cunts, right? But I don't have the anger into it anymore as I used to. I can't feel my blood boiling. Only very rarely when I like that turd flinging monkey video about how she'll never love you. Oh yeah, I felt it there. And there's others, and it reminds me so much of how I used to feel. But 19 years down the MGTOW path, you can build a life for yourself that is so much more of what you want than any of that whole marriage thing, because you can't, if you're going to get married, you're not going to get what you want. And the only way to really get more of what you want is to be MGTOW, right? And I find that I am happier than just about all of my married coworkers, except for maybe one or two. I mean, they must have like this exemplary super marriage going or something, or they're a good liar about it or something. Okay, so I'm just a little concerned about, to close that, I'm a little concerned about Agree Meg. I'm hoping he's not using too much anger. Uh, Otherwise, it could come back at him. It could hurt him to some extent. So I'm hoping he can kind of find other things to motivate him and build things in his life to have enthusiasm about, and have the enthusiasm carry him forward, because you know something's got to be in your heart, right? Something's got to be, you got to have something in your heart in order to motivate you through life, right? You can intellectualize uh, from here to next Wednesday, right? You just, yeah, this should happen. And if you can intellectually and think about stuff, and but if you don't have something, some kind of force to drive you forward, you aren't going anywhere. So you have either, you can have anger or hate or revenge, or you can have the desire for justice. You can have uh, uh, or you can have love, if you actually have people in your life that you love, and you can have joy, and you can have enthusiasm, and as time has gone on, I find that those tend to be more of the fuel and that motivates and drives me, and curiosity and interest on, my projects and stuff like that. So yeah, that's luckily, that is what I'm running on right now, and it just doesn't beat you up. You don't have that feeling, that tightness in your chest, that real hate can make. You can actually feel it in your heart, and it's a different kind of fuel, and it's not something that your body can run on and be that healthy forever. You can't do it forever. So I'm hoping he can moderate on that. Okay, so it's none of my business though. He's a free man. We're all MGTOW here. So second thing I wanted to cover is Michael Moore. That guy is so far left, it's just ridiculous. He should have his nose up Hillary Clinton's butt. So far, it would be ridiculous. But he's just endorsed Trump. And if you have a leftist of that magnitude supporting Trump, even though freaking Hillary just owns the media, I mean, she just has the whole freaking media on her side, right? And I mean, time after time, the media is just so anti-Trump. I mean, I can't even think of any examples, but there's a ton of them. Like that horrible blonde bitch from Fox News. Fox is just going on about Trump being a sexual predator, blah, blah, blah. And John McCain really bitch slapped her down recently about that. And she was like not happy. You could see her. She was getting really angry. And she was talking about McCain having anger issues. And she had just lost it on that interview. I mean, any conservative, uh, that Megyn Kelly is her name, man, any conservative would not pay her any attention. And I sure don't. I mean, obviously she's just a puppet for the banker elite, the George Soros and people like that. So basically, Michael Moore has endorsed him, and I'll put a link in the more info area. I could paste it into this video, but why? I'll just put a link in there so you can go watch that thing. I love the way he called the Trump supporters, how a lot of us, have not done well because of exporting all of our jobs and whatnot, like they've been doing. And clearly, big banker businesses and big companies, they all support freaking Hillary. I mean, she's their puppet, right? And they are so anti-Trump, it's ridiculous. Um, and basically, um, the voters, however, they can really throw the big business under the bus, right? Um, by getting Trump in. Because Trump, he was talking about how he was going to put a tariff on auto imports if Ford moves their factories to Mexico so that they will hopefully stay in the U.S. So, I mean, the U.S. is falling to pieces, but maybe the guy might slow it down a little bit. Who knows? But then we come to the third thing I wanted to cover. The third thing I wanted to cover was um, I was just watching a video called from a channel called Blue Point Trading, and he was talking about how the stock market doesn't appear to have priced in the possibility of a Trump victory, right? And my suspicion is that if Trump wins, the U.S. or the big banker people, they are not going to treat the U.S. gently as they might if Hillary gets in, right? So whatever kind of catastrophe is waiting, right? They'll probably wait till Trump gets in the office and then pull the plug on the U.S. economy, right? And that is why that's why I'm getting to Bitcoins. You see, over the last several days or the week or so, Bitcoins have been in an uptrend again, and they've moved past $650 each. And I'm enjoying the uptrend, but what I'm thinking is that some people, some financial interests might be deploying some money into Bitcoins to as a hedge against the stock market dropping dramatically, or people's countries stopping buying treasuries, which they pretty much already have, and possibly the Fed might decide not to monetize the debt as they have been. Um, like all these countries like China are selling U.S. treasuries, and they're selling them, and something's buying them, and obviously the only entity that is buying that shit, that garbage, is the Federal Reserve Corporation, right? And those people are just waving a wand and creating money out of fucking thin air, diluting all of our money which we have, and making it less valuable, and giving them monopoly printed U.S. dollars or Federal Reserve notes. And then if they pull the plug on that, the interest rate for the dollar, I mean for U.S. debt, will go way up. And man, there could be shock waves. And I mean, there's already an economic catastrophe coming with that German bank, Deutsche Bank. They're just about ready to drop, and they're like a zombie bank, and they're almost certainly gonna crash fairly soon, maybe early next year. But when all of this stuff occurs, man, when banks and everything start crashing, uh, people are gonna want money. They're gonna want to. There's gonna be like trillions of dollars of panicked fortunes running around frantically sprinting from place to place trying to find safety, right? They're going to try to find some kind of security for their money, because in institutions that hold that wealth are going to be imploding and blowing up and evaporating, and all that wealth that they had is suddenly going to be gone, right? And then then basically they're going to be really hurt, because these people are like used to being seriously rich, and if their fortunes are in danger, they're going to be panicking all over the place. when that occurs, they're going to be driving the precious metals prices up. Silver and gold are going to go up. And man, Bitcoins, it's so easy to transfer money into Bitcoins. Man, they almost have to go up. And I think what we're seeing right now, this this increase from like 620, 610 up to like 655 or so, I think what that is just a little trickle of money coming in from people who are aware of what's happening, and possibly a Trump victory could destabilize the markets, kind of like in like UK when they did their Brexit thing, and their currency started really dropping, right? And the gold in their currency was going way up. So anybody holding gold, their wealth was preserved, and same with bitcoins, of course. So if people, uh, if if Trump gets elected, it's going to cause a lot of shockwaves just like that, and it could accelerate what's coming anyway under if Clinton is elected, right? And if that's the case, anybody holding bitcoins or good old-fashioned clinking metallic silver should do, very well. And that's the third thing I wanted to cover, which was please get into bitcoins, or at least learn how to use them. Get something in them, because I can't give financial advice because I'm a diesel mechanic, hello. But I'm already up 300% from 2015, and that's when I was begging everybody to buy bitcoins. But I'm still begging, please, please, my fellow MGTOWs, put something into this, or at least learn how to use them, because they could really do some really dramatically good things for you. One Bitcoin in 10 years could be enough to retire on, or buy a really good car with, or something. So, man, this kind of opportunity comes like maybe once in a lifetime if you're lucky. So, man, I hope that some of my big MGTOW brothers will at least consider this. I know a lot of my fellow MGTOW have actually gotten into Bitcoin many months ago, and they are happy as could be, sitting on very good gains. But others are just sitting on the fence, and I'm just hoping you could put something into it. I'll try to help if I can. If you need help, I'll try to answer your questions, or other people will as well. I'll do what I can for you. Just to get you started in this, because man, I would hate to see you guys left behind on something like this. So that's the three things I wanted to talk about. The first one was angry MGTOW, possibly being too heavy into the anger. Two, Michael Moore supporting Donald Trump now. And three, the possible economic results of a Trump victory, and what that could do to bitcoins and silver and gold and stuff like that. Okay, guys, I'm gonna crash and upload this thing right now, though. So I hope you guys have a good week. It's still my weekend. I chose Tuesday and Wednesday as my weekend. We can actually do that. If you've been around for a while, you can sort of negotiate it. A lot of married guys at work, they wanted the weekends off, right? So, and I don't care about the weekends. So I chose Tuesday and Wednesday, and that way I think we got a couple of Mondays holidays coming up, so I'll still get my 3-day weekends. So that was the plan. I think it'll work. So I guess I'll see you later. And don't get married.